How you doing, sir?
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
When I called you the other night, you said, "Sure, man, I'm ready
for
to
you,
come."
of course.
That makes me feel good. When you did that thing Pharrell did, you copied his video. It's called Black Man. What's the name of it?
The song is called Entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur is the name of the song.
The song is called Entrepreneur.
Right.
And
we have to get into that a little bit later because I want to make sure that's running a little bit in the back.
Okay, all good, all good.
Dale, tell me a little bit about where you come from, your family.
All right, so I'm originally from Baltimore. Born in New Jersey, but I wasn't there long enough to actually have claim for New Jersey. Because my mom's family and my father's family all came from Baltimore, but my grandmother had moved to New Jersey, so that's where my mother kind of sort of grew up a little bit, but she still claims Baltimore. And so even though I was born in Jersey, I've pretty much been in Baltimore, grew up in Baltimore all the way through high school and through college, and started my career there as well.
How many kids in your family? Like,
growing up was just me, my sister, and my mother.
Okay, are you the first?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest, and how many years between you and your sister?
Well,
wait, is it same father? Same
well,
father
me and my sister have different fathers.
Okay, different.
But there's 2 years difference between her. But then I have another sister with my father, and there's 32 years difference between us.
What, older or younger?
Younger.
So it hasn't been that long ago since he had.
Yeah, my sister is now 21.
Oh, 21, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving away your age with all this. Anyway,
do the math. Do the math.
You can do the math. Do the math. Do the math. I never complain about getting older
because I'm here.
Giving a few. They talk to me.
I mean, and just to be, it's like not to get too serious, but look, I know a lot of folks who didn't make it this far.
Isn't that something?
So I'm thankful for every day.
That's right. That's right.
And I learned a long time ago. Every day above ground is a good day.
Good day. Yes, I use that phrase. I mean, when people ask me how am I doing, I said fantastic. I said why? I said because I woke up this morning.
Yep, that's it.
I woke up above ground.
And here's the thing: you can never have a bad day if you started that off as your premise.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
That's true.
And something I said at the end of the podcast too, that my brother said to me that I found to be very profound. He said it's all on loan.
Yep.
And when he said that to me at the time, when he said it to me, where I was in life, it just really hit me, and I started thinking about it. Everything we have and perceive is on loan.
Right. We can't take it with us. It goes back to somewhere else. Somebody else will reclaim it.
That's right.
Or the planet will reclaim it.
Isn't that the truth?
Because think about it. Everything that's been here has always been here.
That's right. We keep on changing. And that tickles me. We like to say, as human beings, we've created something. No, you haven't. You changed the way it looked.
Right.
It's like a bird with his nest. He gets straw to stand like this. When he finishes it, he has this work of art.
Right.
But he didn't create anything. He just changed the way it looked.
Like this table, that TV, clocks, everything we have, we've taken something from somewhere else and put it together, but it was already here.
It's already been here, and we think we discovered. Yeah, we did discover it, but it was already here. We just
for us to help. Yeah,
right. So tell me, okay, so you grew up in Baltimore.
Grew up in Baltimore.
So how long were you in Baltimore? Till what age?
I was in pretty much most of my adult life. I was in Baltimore.
Okay. So what'd you do? What kind of work did you do? Did you go to college?
So I went to college. I went to Ithaca College.
What?
Ithaca.
Ithaca. Okay.
And then while I was at Ithaca, my degree is in American history, with kind of a focus on ethnic and immigrant studies. And then I also took filmmaking.
Okay.
And I took pretty much all the filmmaking and screenwriting courses as electives.
All right.
Because the film program denied me twice.
All right.
But I still wanted to do film, because what's interesting is when I was from ages 7 to 17, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay, why was that?
When you're a kid and you get impressionable, like the most impressionable person that you see is probably the doctor.
Was that for you? That was for you?
Yeah, it was for me. It was probably, Dr. Shirley Chisholm was our,
It sounds like a black woman.
It was a black man.
A black man?
Named Shirley, yes.
Shirley Chisholm?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not Shirley Chisholm, Dr. was it Chiselle?
Chiselle. Okay.
And he was my pediatrician, and he was like this. He was a great doctor.
He made you feel good about yourself.
And so I knew I was from like 7 years old. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I think may have been younger than that, you know, because when I was much younger, I had my tonsils taken out, and I know from talking to my mom about that experience, she was like, "Okay, doctor, just give me the needle right here," you know, like. So I know that probably was also part of that, but that part I don't remember. I do remember like being in the hospital eating a lot of ice cream.
Right. And that part.
So I'm sure between the family doctor and the tonsil experience, that doctors made an impression. And so from age 7, I was like, I want to be a doctor. And the thing is, my family supported that.
They really put. I see. Why wouldn't they?
And you know, it's like, oh, you want to be a doctor? We're going to do everything. Like, you know, I had aunts and uncles that, you know, they would give me microscopes. They would
really trying to encourage.
Oh yeah. When my first job was with my uncle working at a cancer research laboratory at age 15.
Okay.
At University of Maryland. Wow. Now you imagine being 15 years old, working in a cancer research laboratory, helping researchers on cancer at 15. You know, and so. And then I also volunteered in the hospital in anesthesiology as well as histology. So I had this really great experience coming up, but also the creative bug started coming in. So I was writing poetry. I was, you know, dabbling in music. And then when I was in high school, me and some friends, we put a band together.
What kind of music would you do?
We were kind of like a Prince cover band.
Okay, but what did you play?
I sang and wrote the lyrics for the band.
Okay, so you're a singer.
A little bit.
All right.
Not, you know, I'm retired now.
Okay.
So.
What kind of work did your father do?
My father, my father was a Vietnam veteran.
Like I am.
And he came out of war like many vets and had a whole bunch of, you know, issues with narcotics and all that kind of stuff. So he did a lot of different jobs, but he eventually settled into working at the water department.
Okay. And is your father still alive?
You know, he passed about 4 years ago.
How old was he when he passed?
About 68.
So he was young, man. That's how old I am now.
Yeah, he was young.
So he'd have been 72 now.
72, 73. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was young. Yeah, he was 20.
Young when
he was 20. My mother was 18.
All right. They didn't get married.
They didn't get married because, you know, he was going to the war. You know, he got drafted.
Oh, he got drafted.
Right.
So did I.
Yeah, and I think he didn't know what was going to happen.
I understand, right.
But then when he came back.
But did he know that you were on the way?
Oh yeah,
he found that out. I'm sure.
Yeah, he knew I was on the way, and I think, you know, but I think he didn't want to.
Right, I understand.
Go through and just think.
Did you have what kind of relationship did you have with your father?
We had a good relationship, but sometimes it could be contentious, you know, because sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't, you know. But I think he was still dealing with his own stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, I think he carried Vietnam with him. He was proud of his service, but I think he had issues in terms of addiction and those sort of things, and he would go into recovery, you know, and run recovery houses, which actually, what's interesting is that his experience of doing the recovery houses is what inspired me to do my movie Stay.
I think you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
And that movie, by the way, your movie was really...
Thank you.
When you told me about that, when I watched it, I was really... Even though I didn't know you, I don't know you well, I was really proud. I said, Mom, I know a guy that can do this well and with a limited budget, and it was just well produced, man. And the actor and the actress you had were so good.
Thank you. So
I really liked them.
So yeah, but he's the reason, you know, he's like, because originally I was going to tell the story in Baltimore.
Okay.
And
with Americans?
With Americans.
Okay.
And the only reason I changed is because when I came back to Tokyo around 2012, I had this kind of period when I was in Tokyo, because we were living in Fukushima, and I was working for a film festival here, and I was kind of quasi-homeless in Tokyo.
Okay.
I was like staying in capsule hotels and hostels and all these different places. But I read an article about a recovery group in Tokyo. And what I realized that nobody ever talks about drugs and narcotics or any of that stuff here. But reading the experience of these guys who were going through the recovery program, I kind of understood it because, my father's experience going through recovery. And so what I realized was different was how Japan keeps it on you.
Right. They
don't give you a second chance afterwards.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Like you carry that
for the rest of your life.
Your life. Like you don't in the States, if you're in recovery and you're moving forward in your life, nobody holds that against you. Well, here, if your boss finds out that you just had an addiction problem, they can let you go just because of the impression. I was like, how do you move forward when people won't give you a second chance? That's a hard thing psychologically to deal with. And I said, how do you find that hope? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how the story, started. Like, so the story started to change thematically from what I wanted to do back in Baltimore in Japan, because I just felt like that palette was much richer in terms of the story. Mm-hmm. And so, in a lot of ways, because of my father's experience and then reading about these other guys and their experiences, it helped to inform the story on another level. Right. And, so that's why you see his name, his name is at the end, dedicated.
At the end of the movie?
Yeah.
After all the credits go up?
Yep.
Wait, how would someone, if they want to see Stay, how would they go about it?
You can see it on Amazon.
It's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon in the States. It's on Amazon in the UK. It's on Amazon in Japan.
Right.
I think it's on Tubi in Canada.
Okay.
So it's, it's out there. It's out there.
Stay, S-T-A-Y.
S-T-A-Y.
I can be romantic.
That is chivalry. That is not romantic.
I could ask you to make miso soup every morning.
Unfortunately, I don't know how to make miso soup.
I could teach you.
I'm sure you could.
The Japanese version. There's a couple other stays out there. Look for the Japanese cast.
The Japanese cast, then you're saying, there are some other ones out there.
Well, yeah, it's dedicated to two people. It's dedicated to my father and one of my best friends who passed away, who was one of the first people that said, can I cuss on you?
You can say whatever. But let me tell you what. But this is not for children. And
okay.
It's explicit.
All right. No, because I didn't know if I wanted to quote my friend directly, right, because when I first told him about the story and I shared with my friend, who passed away like 6 or 7 years ago now, he said, Darryl, you got to do that shit.
You got to do that shit.
You got to do that shit.
Okay.
And then when he passed, I was like, all right, Carlos.
He never got to see it.
He never got to see it.
Okay.
His widow came out and see it when we did the screening in L.A.
How old was he when he passed?
40.
Oh, wow. Did he have kids too?
No kids.
Oh, okay.
But he was, and it's one of those things where, as we were talking about life before, it's like, I met him when he was about 20 years old.
Oh, so you knew him for a good 20 years.
I knew him for 20 years, but technically speaking though, I knew him at his midlife.
Right, that's right. There you go.
Because he lived to be 40.
Yeah.
So I knew him for half his life.
Half his life, yes.
And,
where was he from?
He was in Baltimore.
From Baltimore. So this is why you were in Baltimore you're talking about. You hadn't been in Japan yet.
No. I was in Japan when he passed.
I know, but how long had you been in Japan when he passed?
When he passed, it was about 13. It was about 2013, yeah.
Okay, so half of that 20 years, you were away from him, yeah.
Yeah. So part of that time, so
but you guys stayed in contact.
Yeah, we stayed in contact all the time.
Wow.
And, but yeah, it's like when we were, he was one of those people that we would bounce off each other. That's ideas, because we were, he was a creative person.
What did he do?
He was a photographer.
Oh, photographer. Okay.
He was a photographer, videographer. We half shot a feature together that it was with him that we had the LA Horror Story of production. We were shooting this low budget straight to DVD movie. He was my cinematographer, and because we were both ride or die. And my other boy Damon, who was also I had the Baltimore contingents. Like my boy Damon was from Baltimore, my boy Carlos, and so Damon was my first AD, Carlos was my DP. We're gonna do this.
Right.
We were working with this cat, and we were moving too. We had a 12-day shoot. We were pushing it. We getting it.
What was the movie? L.A.
It was in L.A. I'm not gonna mention the title of the movie.
Okay, don't do it. Okay.
Is it out? No. This is what happened. All right. The movie it was called Gangsta Mafia.
Okay. All right. And what year is this? What year are we talking about now?
We're talking about, this had to be about 03 maybe? Yes, because this is before I did my first trip.
Okay.
Yeah, 2002, 2003.
All right.
And we had Joey Buttafuoco in it.
All right.
If anybody knows who Joey Buttafuoco is, you can Google him.
All right.
And we were on day 6 of a 12-day shoot, and I was with I'll say the good producer on the movie, and we're sitting there waiting, kind of waiting to do a scout of a location, and he's on, and he's looking at his bank account, and he goes, "We can't shoot today." "What do you mean you can't shoot?" He goes, "I think there's like negative $800 in my account."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What are you talking?" He goes, "The check that the bad producer wrote him was bad."
Mm-hmm.
And we come to find out, dude was writing checks and bouncing checks all over LA and using fraudulent credit cards.
Now, who's the one who was doing this?
The bad producer.
The bad producer.
The bad producer. And so we sat there and we were like, okay. So then we realized, wait a minute, are people going to get paid? Because my first AD was married and had a kid, So now we got to figure out people getting paid. So we checked with the payroll company that no money has ever been sent to them.
Mm.
So all 3 of us go to this cat's space because we're like, we're grown, man. We ain't, look, dude, this dude's got a kid. It's like folks got bills and things.
Was he putting stuff in his luggage and he was about out the door when you guys came?
So we get to a spot and because we came with evidence. It wasn't like I was coming saying, dude, what's going on? It was like, no, we talked to the payroll company and they said they never got anything that you said that they've got. He goes, and he comes in with this ledger book and like, I've sent them this and this and da 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 da. I'm like, dude, we talked to such and such at the company. This is what they told us. How did you get their information? I said, telephones work. I'm gonna find a way to find out because I'm not gonna confront you without the information.
Right.
The next thing you know, dude is threatening to get a gun
in his house.
In his house. My boy Carlos goes, "Are we fucking Boogie Nights right now?" He said, "What the hell's going on?" It was just insane. So it was around that time that I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a break from LA.
Okay. You guys were in LA at the time, but all of you from Baltimore.
All of us from Baltimore.
Wow.
And that's when I came to Japan.
Whatever happened with him? Do you know?
Who?
The guy, the bad one.
I heard he moved to Atlanta.
Okay, so he's still out there somewhere.
He's probably out there somewhere.
Still doing what he does.
Doing what he does.
Wow.
But yeah, and then that's around the time that I decided to apply for the JET program.
Okay. But we skipped a little bit. So you were in college and you were taking these courses, and all of your
so I was in college.
Courses were all the creative.
So I took all the filmmaking and screenwriting courses in college.
Right.
And oddly enough, when I think my senior year, I actually applied for a movie, and I think it was either a Barry Levinson movie or a John Waters movie. I forget now. And they wanted to hire me. And it was like my senior year, so I would have to take off like a semester to work on this movie. And I was like, I want to work on this. My mother was like, no, you ain't.
And you didn't?
No.
So you got your degree. Okay, right.
Because she was like, she said, I told you when you graduated high school, you got 4 years.
That's right.
Anything after that, you on your own.
And she
I got you. She meant it.
Yeah.
Because she was right. Yeah. But so yeah, I missed that particular job and went back and graduated and got my degree.
Right. Well, how's your mom doing, by the way?
She's good. She's good. She's in Florida, and she's
in Florida,
in Orlando now, and retired, and just she's still socially isolating.
Yeah, because of this. Yeah.
But but she we talk. She's
constantly
hanging in there.
That's good.
But she's been the rock.
I can imagine.
But you think about it. When I look back now, My mother was still 18 when I was, when I was born. So
She
in a
just
lot of
kid
ways,
herself.
she was
She's a kid.
becoming an adult as I was a
Growing up.
child.
Yes.
And then as a single mother, and then a single mother with 2 children, I know the sacrifices she made, in terms of just what she's gone through and her life and her story and getting me and my sister to where we are.
She never married?
She got married once and then divorced.
Okay.
That's her story to tell.
Okay, right. But while you were
when I was younger.
Okay.
She was married 2 years, I think we were married 6 months.
It wasn't long at all.
It wasn't that long, no.
Okay. And you're probably happy too.
Yeah, she was happy.
Yeah, happy. She was happier. You were happy. She was happier. Wow. Okay, so then after you finished college,
I went back to Baltimore.
Okay.
And it was then, as every college graduate, what am I going to do next now that I've got this degree and all this, and but I knew I wanted to focus on filmmaking. Because I knew I wanted to start filmmaking probably since that senior year of high school, really, because that band I was working with inspired me to write my first screenplay. So as I said, I started working in, I was I wanted to be a doctor from 7 to 17.
Right. So you're really pretty serious at a
Right.
really young age.
But then probably between 15 to about 17, the creative bug started to come in, writing poetry and, doing music and writing lyrics and singing and all that kind of stuff. And then, and I used to ride my bike around Baltimore because, I was like, just, I didn't have a car, I didn't have money for a car.
Okay.
I had jobs, but, because, I worked I've sold men's clothes, I've sold women's shoes. I was a stock clerk, I had all these odd jobs come in, but I would ride my bike. And one day I'm riding my bike and I hear something says to me, write a movie about the band. What? Write a movie about the band. Okay. How the hell you do that? And the thing is, and you look back, you realize, I think Steve Jobs said you connect the dots backwards.
Okay.
Growing up, I had always been going to the library. Library was in terms of outside of family and the people who my support network, the library was the other support network in my life. So I used to read a lot of comic books, but I would trade comic books with the library because they had a library, and you would go in and you bring in comic books and trade comic books. So the librarians knew me by name, but I also knew going to the library was a safe space. So I could go there, I could get books and learn, I remember Mr. O'Bannon, was one of the librarians, said, what's your favorite book? He goes, Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison. I said, all right, I'm gonna read. I was 13 years old. I didn't know what the hell that book. I didn't know what Ellison was saying at 13. When I read it again at 19,
it started to click.
And then when you read it in your 20s, it clicks a little bit more.
Wow.
So, but I got it. It's but to be challenged to say, okay, I'm gonna read that. You ready? Let me go for it. That you would go for trying to read that kind of material. And so I loved reading.
What about now?
Still love reading. Just don't have as much time because I got 3 kids.
Right, that's true.
But that's the thing that got me going. And so when I heard this thing that says write a movie about the band, first thing I go to the library. Where do I find a book about writing movies? Because I didn't even know what it was called. I didn't know it was called a script or a screenplay.
Okay, right.
I just know writing about them. I knew movies were written.
Right.
I just didn't
know the terminology.
I didn't know the terminology.
Right.
So I get to the library, and the librarian shows me, I think these are, and we pull out this book, and this was a book by Sid Field called Screenplay. And it's probably the first book that most people have ever read about screenwriting. This is what I started reading before I went to college and started writing. So when I went to college and started studying screenplay, then I started learning more about writing and screenwriting and the process, and then I started doing production. But because the film school denied me twice, I became a history major. So I was getting my degree in history, but also learning filmmaking. And what's great is that because we were in Ithaca, Cornell was across town. So I could take they had an exchange program. So I would even take courses in my major at Cornell, and so it's like I had this real, and the thing is what I realized when I look back on, I said, man, I could have graduated from Cornell.
So I think I'm right.
Yeah, well, because what I realized is like, once I took that class at Cornell and passed, I was like, I could do this. I could do that. I could be Ivy League.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that until you do it.
Right. And you start seeing the people there doing it. Yeah.
Right. And so you realize, I could have done that. And then what I realized I probably could have done is like, I could have went for my freshman and sophomore year at Ithaca and then try to see if I could transfer to Cornell, because of what I realized, it's where you graduate, not where you start.
That's right.
Degree is only where you graduate.
That's right.
So I could have went those last 2 years ago, but nobody told us that. Nobody tells you that. Nobody
schools you on that.
They don't school you on that information.
Right.
And when you're coming up, and this is what, when you think about like how folks build like generational wealth and all those kind of things, is that nobody teaches you those things.
We're not taught that at all.
And those kind of strategies. You're just trying to make it. So once I was in college,
you learn how to just make it.
Right. You go to college, that's the school you go to. Nobody told you about transferring.
Right. That's right.
And so, but the great thing about IC was it had a really solid film program. So I'm thankful for that. And, and so when I finished, I went back to Baltimore, and maybe about a year or so, a little bit less than a year, I'm riding my bike around Baltimore, and the Maryland Film Office at the time, which was called the Maryland Film Commission back then, they had what they called a hotline number.
A hotline number?
A hotline.
Hotline number, okay.
Because if a movie came in, you could call the hotline, you could find out what's coming into town.
Right,
hey, there's a commercial coming in, send in your resume. Well, one day I called the hotline, and I'm just riding my bike, and I'm just like, because, we didn't have cell phones back then, you
sure didn't. Yes.
So I called the hotline. I said, what's going on the hotline? I call, and it says, they said, oh, there's a movie coming in, and we're looking for crew, and, production assistants, da da da. I was like, oh, I wanted to get a job. I wanted to get a job as a production assistant, because I know that's the kind of the bottom tier job that you get starting out. It's kind of your professional film starter job.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it says, send in your resume, don't come in, and I was on my bike and I looked like a bike messenger, and I had my resume in my backpack. I was like, hell, I'm going in. So I go to the office, because it was at this hotel called the Tremont Plaza. I go in, I say, hi, I'm just here to bring in a resume. I got the little bike. I look like a bike messenger. They don't know me from Adam.
Right.
I walk in, hand in, they say, oh, thank you very much. Come out. About a couple of days later, I get a phone call. Hi, we're looking for Darryl. I say, yeah, we want you to come in. Cool. I get in. I go in. I got my tie on. I come in. I'm green. I'm like green. The producer comes in. His name's Mike Hausman. He's a fairly well-known Hollywood producer. Okay. He comes in, he's got like this kind of almost quasi-safari type shirt on, and he comes in, he sits down, he looks at I can see my resume on this desk, and he goes, good afternoon, young man. I said, how you doing, sir? He goes, I see you went to Ithaca College. I go, yes, sir. I'm a Cornell man myself. I said, I took some classes at Cornell. He said, oh, good. And we just had a really good conversation. And I said, yeah, I'm looking just to, start my job. He says, I think you're going to be all right. And I was hired on the movie.
Oh, that's good.
And that was my first job as a production assistant on a Hollywood. And the director was David Mamet. And like Joe Mantegna was in it, and and it's like Ving Rhames was in that movie. It's like all these actors who became really well known, and and with one of the preeminent theater writers and indie filmmakers at the time. And this was like my first feature film. And it was just like, and the first AD in the film, she goes, Darryl, I'm going to tell you now, you're so lucky that this is your first movie, because most of them are not like this.
Because you got a good one.
It was a great one.
That's good.
And, I learned a lot. Everything I learned about filmmaking from college, because this was a whole different education.
This is the real deal.
This was the real deal because
it's
this
not
is
based on theory.
this is based on fact. This is
yeah.
based on real money.
Right.
This is based on people's
Definitely.
careers
And real
like,
attitudes.
I can tell you now,
everything.
look, maybe that first week, because I wasn't used to the production schedule. Because movies, you're shooting 12-hour, 13-hour, 14-hour days, and you know that first week kicks your ass. And I slipped past my alarm clock, and I was late. And I jumped on my bike and I hauled ass to the set. And Karen came to me. She's the second AD because that's who usually in charge of the PAs. And she goes, "What happened?" I go, "Overslept." She goes, "Oh." And she looked at me. She goes, "Okay. If it happens again, don't bother coming back."
Real clear.
Yes.
It never happened again.
Never happened again. I'm gonna tell you, as soon as we wrapped, rode my bike, went to the Rite Aid, got a second alarm clock, took that thing, put it on the other side of the room,
She made it very clear.
set that joint. I had to hear and have one.
This is no way you're gonna.
And to this day, when I'm working on production, I
You do the same thing.
do the same thing.
Same thing, isn't
Do
it?
the same thing. 2 o'clock clocks, because I just don't want to. Because I know what that felt like, and I felt bad.
But it's glad that she handled it so well.
Well,
right away.
I think she got it. She knew it was my first gig,
And she said, but she's gonna make it very clear to
Right.
you. And she knew she'd let you go.
And the thing is, and I think she knew, and I was local. I was from Baltimore. She knew, it's like, this is, I don't want to drop this kid. And I think she also saw, like, this is a black kid who's really trying.
You're trying, yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna give you a second chance.
But that's all you're gonna.
That's
get.
all you're gonna get. And I worked my ass off. And the thing is, that job got me my next job.
There you go.
And that job,
There you go. It just kept on going.
and so I worked on some really great films as a production assistant.
Okay.
I worked, and the directors were great. Like, we got a chance to work with David Mamet, Penny Marshall, Robert Townsend. I worked on the TV show Homicide.
What movie was Robert Townsend that you?
He did Meteor Man.
Yeah, you worked on that one?
I was on it.
Because that was the first black superhero movie ever made.
Yeah, I was on it, and I'm in it.
What part are you playing on?
I play one of the Golden Lords.
You're one of the Golden Lords?
I'm one of the Golden Lords.
Wait, where can you get that movie anyway? It's just all of his movies seem to be gone.
I don't know.
They've been taken off the thing, like, for example,
on
Hollywood Shuffle.
Yeah,
I look for those, and it's hard to find his movies.
It's not on, like, you can't buy it on Amazon or something?
Maybe so. I don't know. I don't.
It might be available on DVD or something, but yeah.
Townsend was good. And how's he? What's happened with him? Do you know?
Robert's, I think he's still working and doing movies, and he's still
very
directing.
low key.
He's just more low key, but he's working. I think his daughter's working on stuff now, and he's, but he's a legend. He's got, he's made some seminal
he really
classic
has
films.
But did he? I don't know how he handled himself financially. I hope he took care of himself.
I think he did. He had a TV show.
But that doesn't,
Yeah, that's true.
You never
that's
know.
true.
You never know.
But I think
MC
Robert's
Hammer
okay.
was a good story.
Yeah, but Hammer got money.
He came back.
Yeah.
But he lost everything because he had that beautiful home and stuff.
Well, because he was generous.
Is that what happened?
It wasn't like, I think he still, here's the thing, I think the thing with Hammer, he always had his business acumen.
Okay.
But I think he was just too generous.
So
because he was trying to bring everybody along.
I got you. And that got caught up.
And that got caught up. And when he realized, I can't bring everybody.
Right.
But he still had the business acumen, so he was still able to make money.
So what brought you to Japan? What made you decide to come here?
So
how long have you been in Japan, first of all?
So I've been in Japan, about 15 years now.
Now, I know you're married and you have your 2 kids.
But
is that why you came? Because
the first time I came to Japan, so around the time I was doing that Gangster Mafia movie, I got hired by MTV to write a screenplay based on a manga. And MTV flew me to Japan to meet the manga, and there was going to be an animation thing and to meet the animators and all that. So I was here like that was about 2003, and I came out here for about a week, a little bit more than a week here, and so that was my first time coming to Japan. And
what'd you think about it when you came?
I was like, well, okay, what's going on? I wanted to know
You're right
more.
in Tokyo.
In Tokyo.
Okay.
Like I was staying at a hotel in Kichijoji.
Okay.
But
I used to live by there.
But it's like you hear that first time and you're like, it's kind of like sensory overload.
Most definitely.
And once I was able to get past, I still wanted to know more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to see more. But I didn't know I was going to get back because once the MTV project didn't go.
It didn't go.
It didn't go. You know, that was a little bit crushing because, you know, it's like everybody's, you know, because I think MTV loved the script and then things changed on the Japanese side.
Okay.
Like when I came here, you know, like the manga creator was like, oh, we really want this to be so much more Western, you know, and I was like, I could do that because there's like this hip hop vibe to it and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, I can give you the hip hop vibe and da-da-da. So I write the script and send it to MTV. They're like, oh my God, we loved it. And then, you know, I think and then there was talks like, we might want to not just do this on TV. We may want to try to see if we can find a way of making this theatrical. We were just waiting to hear back from Japan, and finally we hear back from Japan, and it's not Japanese enough.
So one way and then
you know.
So you went to so you were in Kichijoji, and after you came back from MTV, then what happened?
And then when that finished, so between that not getting a green light and then the Gangsta Mafia project, you know, it was kind of like, all right, what am I going to do? And I just said, you know what, I just need a break. And I said, and I had some friends who had been with the JET program. And they said, Darryl, you should just try, you know, you should. And I was like, let me check this out. And so I went to one of those like introductory meetings. I was like, that don't sound bad. Go to Japan for a year. I could do some writing in that year. I could be creative.
Were you able to?
And I applied. And I got in. You know, and I requested to be in a town. I didn't want to be in a city because I lived in Los Angeles, I lived in Baltimore, I've been in New York a lot of, you know, it's like, let me really, if I'm gonna go to Japan, let me go see what Japan is really about.
So where'd they put you? Where'd you go?
I wound up in a town called Kawamata.
Okay.
In Fukushima.
Okay. So how long were you there for a whole year?
And so I went to Fukushima for that first year, and in that first year I met my wife.
Oh,
so I stayed the second year.
Was she one of the students?
She wasn't a student. We just met at a party.
Okay.
Right. And so once, you know, so I wound up staying for that second year, and then, you know, we got married, then the first kid came, and then I was like, because now I had to have a plan B.
Okay. Because,
you know, before, you know, I was, like I said, because I'm a filmmaker.
Right.
I've always been creative, so I was like, always had that drive of filmmaking, and you know. But I'm here in Japan teaching English because, you know, that's the job I have to do. But I'm really looking to also focus and do, you know. And I think the only thing I wrote a play in that time.
Okay.
And then, you know, but then once I realized I needed a plan B, I had been asked to teach because of my film experience, but I didn't have my degree.
Okay.
So I was like, maybe I'll go back and get my degree.
Degree in what?
Film.
Okay.
And get my master's degree. I had an undergrad degree in history, but I didn't have a master's degree to teach at university level.
I knew that's what you wanted. Okay.
And so I went back to get my master's degree in film.
With your wife and your child?
Well, they stayed in Fukushima.
Okay.
And by that time, while I was in grad school, number 2 came along.
Okay.
And, you know, I went to Chapman University in Orange, California, and got my master's degree in directing. Coming directly out of Chapman, I got hired at Morgan State University as a teaching there in their film program. And so I was teaching at Morgan State, and then we was then trying to work out all the visa stuff for my wife and all that kind of stuff. And then shortly after that, then while I'm at Morgan, my daughter was born.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, not yet. No. Fukushima happened, then my daughter was born. So basically, I was at Morgan when Fukushima happened, and my family was still there.
2011, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the decision that made me come back.
Okay, and then you stayed ever since.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have you done since you've been here? I mean, all this time, now that you're here, back from that.
So
2011 on.
So from 2011 on, like I said, I came back, and I worked at a film festival, the Short Shorts Film Festival for a while. And then, you know, I done lots of teaching of English. Okay. Just to make sure we, you know, to pay the bills. Gotcha. And working in film and production. So I've done fixing work, you know, on productions. I've done acting. Like, you know, I've been probably one of the biggest music videos for the AKB48. Okay. I play a DJ in their fortune cookie video, which has like, I think it's over 200-something million views now, which is kind of insane. You know, I go to schools and I show it to students, and they're like, "Oh my God!" That's it, right? Yeah. You know, and it's like, okay, yeah, you know, but, and so it's one of those things where I've been able to keep my foot into the entertainment door, as I'm making sure that my family gets fed and there's a roof.
What does it feel like now? Where are you at about this in your life right now?
Right now, I'm trying to get the next film made.
Okay, which is?
It's called Polaris.
And it's about?
It's about a chef who comes to Japan, who loses his sense of taste.
All right. Because of Corona?
Well, I've added, what's funny is that the story, he lost his sense of taste before we knew the symptoms of Timona, so I'm thinking of concluding that as part of the storyline.
Right, that he actually had Corona, didn't know it.
And his, you know, but he comes to Japan to fulfill his father's final wish. All right. And he meets a woman who helps him on his journey. So it's another love story.
Wow. So where are you at right now?
At this point, we're beginning this process of seeing how we can try to raise some funding for it. Okay. Because we were going to try to do it last year.
You finished the script already?
The script's written, yeah. Script's written.
So, and you've been passing out so people are looking at it now?
Not yet. Not yet. Because we were going to do it, we were going to try to pull it off last year, but the pandemic shut down everything. Okay. And so now we're beginning to get build the speed back up to try to get it going again.
And it's called Polaris?
Polaris.
Polaris, why?
The North Star.
Okay.
And, you know, because part of the story takes place in Hokkaido, which is the northern point of Japan. Yeah,
Wakanai. That's the very tip of Hokkaido on the top. It's called Wakanai.
Wakanai. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, I want to do another love story because I like love stories. They're just nice to tell.
So when you say you're looking for funding, what kind of amounts are you talking about, if you don't mind?
Let me say maybe between $500,000. US, yeah. Okay. You know, because
what does that do? If you had that amount, then what happens?
You can get much bigger talent. You can get some names. Okay. You know, you can actually get the music you want. Okay. You can get the equipment you want. You can get a little bit of a longer shooting schedule. Right. Right. You can go through the whole process without having to worry about a lot of financing, stuff. Yeah, you're not like. You know, because like sometimes when you go through production, you're always trying to figure out how you can do it. But when you're nickel and diming, it's hard, it's tough. Yeah. You know, you're cutting corners here and there, and sometimes you just want to say, let me try to figure out what I'm cutting.
Can you mention how much you paid to do Stay?
It was under $500,000.
Under $500,000. Yeah. And you were able to do what you did.
Actually, way under $500,000.
So you have to be very creative, especially if you're going to.
You got to be very creative. Yeah.
If you want to work on a budget.
Yeah. I mean, because we had to do some guerrilla filmmaking on the film.
Okay. I think you mentioned that. That's
so we didn't have
permission sometimes, right?
But I have a friend of mine who is from Namibia, who's a filmmaker I went to grad school with, and we would talk about that whole process of asking for permission. Right. You know, ask for permission and seek forgiveness. You know.
Right. Exactly.
And he said this. He says, "Look, if I can, get the shot and have something that'll last that's a work of art, I'd rather do that
than
worry about.
But can't that backfire on you somehow?
Depends on what you're doing. Okay, if you're putting people at risk, that can very much backfire.
Okay, but what if it's just let's say the movie becomes a box office hit, and you took it in a place where you'd normally have to ask for permission. Could they come back, recourse on that, and say, look, you just made a Star Wars of a movie.
Right.
And they could. Used our lobby without our permission.
Right. It depends on who it is.
Who it is, okay, I got you.
I don't think, I don't know if JR would come after me for shooting on the train.
I understand what you're saying. Okay.
You know, it's
there's
like
certain things like that, right?
You know, it's like I know there's a company. I know a movie. They did a movie in Disneyland. Like these guys did a movie in Disney. Like they guerrilla filming
without asking for.
Without, yeah, they just shot the entire movie. And Disney did the thing
that everyone fears.
No. What Disney did, the movie came out. They got a deal. The movie came out. And I think Disney didn't do the thing they thought Disney would do. They thought Disney would fight them. And Disney didn't. And by Disney not fighting them,
it just went away.
It kind of went away.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they did well. That's it. They get okay.
Okay.
But I think had Disney
came after them,
right. They have this cause.
I understand.
The big giant Disney is coming after. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think in a lot of ways,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it could have helped them too.
It was going to help their PR
if they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think part of their
and Disney said we're not going to give you that kind of.
We're not going to give you that. We're not even going to give you the time.
No, we're not giving you the time of day. We're going to pretend like it didn't happen.
Yup. Okay.
You're not getting.
You guys got away with it. No worries.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's interesting. See, because I would imagine because
and
you're
I'm sure,
a very creative area.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody said, no, if we take them to court and all this, it's going to give them so much more PR. It means more people are going to see it.
That's right. Why would we do that? Yeah.
And so if we don't do anything,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Let me ask you this, Darryl. Okay, let's say if you could have everything you wanted right now with your creative talents, which is filmmaking, where would you be? If it was right now, at your age you are, at the age you are now, and with your family and everything else, what would you be doing? What would your life be like now?
If I wanted to make in terms of the creativity, or
if you had everything, let's say you're there, and when I'm talking to you, everyone, this is Darryl, man. I got Darryl here. What would your life look like?
I think right now, if I had everything, in terms of
Tell me, yeah. It's your twin. It's the twin Darryl.
The parallel universe
that you gave everything he tried to do. It happened. So
I would probably have maybe at least 10 films under my belt.
Okay. What type of films?
It would be a variety. It wouldn't be any particular genre. There'd be love stories. There would be action movies. There would be thrillers. Horror.
Okay.
So I think I like different genres of films, and I like just telling good stories. Like right now, I'm in a place where I'm looking to do what I like to call black faces in international spaces.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of like where I would be right now,
you have 10 movies under your belt.
I would have 10 movies, which means, and then if I have 10 movies under my belt, that means I already have something sitting in the bank.
Okay, right. Which would be how much would you give it? You can have whatever you want. How much would it be now?
15, 20.
Okay. You'd have that. You'd have
growing.
You'd have your family. Okay.
Yeah, kids would have their trust funds and all that, and everybody would be set.
Where would you be living?
Everywhere.
All right. So
I mean, I would probably have a place. I would probably have a place in LA.
Okay.
I would probably have a place here.
Okay.
Maybe in Baltimore. And traveling.
All right.
And living, but also.
Now, the travel would be for what reason? If you're traveling.
If I'm traveling, well, I think because we're here. We're connected with Japan. So that's always going to be part of this journey. And the business is in LA for the most part. So there's a part of you have to be there in terms of the business. That's the hub of the business. That's the real deal, yeah. Right. And so then, Baltimore's family and it's home. So it's like you want to always stay connected to your roots, So it's kind of like this. And then, my mom's would be set up.
Right.
My sisters would all be set up.
Gotcha.
So everybody would be good.
Yeah. Right.
I probably would then also be looking to do writers' retreats.
Okay. And what would that entail?
One of the things I want to do is writers' retreats in like maybe the Japanese countryside, like in Fukushima, not maybe near a city or a town where writers can come and they can write.
Okay.
And have like their own little bungalow. And it's like a little bungalow type village.
Okay.
And they can either get a bicycle or a little scooter and they can go into town, get whatever they need, maybe give them a stipend. And you come in and you write. you can maybe come for like a month or 2 months and just write and focus on your craft. You know, and
who pays for this? I mean, wait,
I ain't figured that part out yet.
Right, but
but if it could be like a non-profit or something, I could figure that out. You know, but you haven't figured out what that structure would be.
I got you, but you're in a place where it's really just nature. It's around nature, basically.
Right? Yeah, it could be in nature because sometimes I think creative people sometimes just need a quiet place. Like I know when Barry Jenkins went to write Moonlight, he went to Belgium or something like that. He said, "I want to go to the most boring place in the world," and he went like somewhere to write Moonlight. And it'd be nice to say, okay, what if Barry Jenkins came to Japan and said, "Hey, there's this writers retreat in this small town." And this he said, "Come on out anytime," and and you just give, you come out there and you just spend your time there, and and just folks just come in and there's the community there.
That'd be nice.
But then they get to know the people in the community,
right?
And
that's good. Yeah.
So there's an exchange there. And then they go back, and hopefully they go back with some brilliant work that they share with the world. And they say, "Where'd you write this?" "Oh, I wrote this in it." And you share it, and then people just keep coming.
Nice. But
it'd be this kind of thing that hopefully, even after I'm gone, it could still continue. Because artists always need a place that they can go. So it's like so I want to also kind of sort of give back.
Right, I got you.
And
I want to get back to like I want to finish up with the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Little short video you did.
Yeah.
Now, why? Because you spoke to me shortly because you had me in it.
Yes.
You had me in it.
Which was great.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, when I saw what Pharrell had done in the director did with that piece, and I saw that they had Arthel in there, Arthel Issam with the Art Studio, and they had David Latanya with Soul Food House. And I thought, I said, so many other people here in Japan that you could do a whole thing just on Japan. Okay. In terms of people who have businesses and are entrepreneurs and have built stuff up from the ground up, and they're here. I said, so why not do a version that's just Japan? At least... and so that's kind of just where it started, was that, I was talking to another friend of mine, he said, yeah, you should do that. That's the thing. And you feature other people who are here. So it's like you and Dan and Cece down in Osaka, and, the sister that has the app that,
That's right.
It's like, you have all these people who are here. And because they, it's like, and I wanted to at least also tell a little bit more of David and Latanya's story, with the Soul Food House.
They were so happy with that.
Yeah, and then you have, the brother Chuck with the martial arts and.
Matter of fact, he's tomorrow.
He's tomorrow. See,
I'm doing a podcast with him tomorrow. If the times work out, we're gonna work out on that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And
so I'm gonna put. Would you mind if I might put a little bit of that entrepreneur that you did a little bit on this?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'll send you a copy of it so you can have it, so you can have a clean, that you don't have to download it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now I want to ask you, how would you like to end? You have anything you'd like to say to everyone before we wrap up? I'm going to give you a little bit of time because we have to.
Oh, we have to wrap up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't never know how to wrap up stuff, man.
Yeah.
Because, here's the thing.
Japan,
I don't like to wrap up stuff because life is open-ended.
Talk to me. Okay.
Why wrap it up when you can keep it going? I mean, I know you have to end the show.
I got you. No, but then again, I tell everyone that comes on, basically, we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I have on, I want to have them on again. I think you have a whole lot of stories.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even talk about the first movie I made.
That's right. You got to stay. But I want people to see that.
Yeah, my first movie is called Detention. Detention.
Detention? No, you didn't talk about that.
Yeah, we did that movie, and that was my first indie film.
Okay.
And it's funny, I think it's weird. I was just thinking about this the other day. I said, I'm always like the second to do something.
Someone that already did
the second. Like,
I know.
Sometimes they say, oh, that's the first black person. Like yesterday,
I got you.
The first black person to do this.
Right.
I realized, like, damn, I keep being the second one.
Yeah.
Like, I think from what I know, I know my people back home are going to correct me. It's like, I think I'm the second African American to make a feature film in Baltimore.
Okay.
I'm the second African American to make a feature film in Japan. I'm like, why am I always the damn second?
That's interesting.
You know, but yeah, you know, my first film is called Detention, and it's like, and that came out of also working as a substitute teacher, because it's basically about a teacher who keeps 5 students after school on a Friday, and you know, she sees a potential in them.
Where was it based?
Based in Baltimore.
Okay, you did this in Baltimore.
And we you know, and the thing is that, and again, that was a thing where we had to get permission because we shoot in a school. Originally, I was going to try to shoot my high school, which is a school called Baltimore City College High School, which is like probably the best high school in Baltimore City. But the principal at the time was kind of a jerk. He wouldn't let us shoot in the school. So we went to the Frederick Douglass High School, which was actually a lot closer to my house. So it actually turned out to be much better. But the principal of that school, because Frederick Douglass High School actually has this rich history. That's where Thurgood Marshall went.
Okay.
You know, and like all these other people went. So it's this rich history with this high school. And so when I realized, I said, we were supposed to be here. Because the principal, we came in, me and my producer Maxie, we came in, we had a meeting with the principal, and she said, of course, come, what do you need?
Yeah, isn't that nice?
You know, she said, what do you need? Come on in. Yes, of course. You want to make a movie in our school? Come on. And we had the entire school.
Isn't that nice?
You know, we shot in 12 days for $12,000
Mm-hmm.
on film. You know, and that was, you know, and that's the part of that Baltimore journey I was talking about. It's like, because literally, and then shortly after that, we shot Maxie's film called Be More Hacks. And then right around after I shot that film, as we were doing, I got a job writing on the TV show Homicide, Life on the Street. So that's all whole
thing, yeah.
So I'm writing for network television shortly after I wrote on, made my feature film.
Detention. Wow.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is with the show Homicide, I actually worked on that show as a PA. I did an episode as an actor, and I wrote on the show. So I had like 3 different lives, on this one particular TV show. You know, so it's been this like journey, man. You know, and that's the thing is, it's been a great journey. When I look back on the experiences and the people I've met, and because and this year's been kind of sad because we just lost, like recently we just lost Ned Beatty. He was on Homicide. Yaphet Kotto passed this year. So using a lot, and they were great. They were not only great actors, they were just great people, and and so to have those kind of folks in your as part of your journey, and you share just a little bit of their journey with your journey.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. We're going to keep this open-ended.
Yes, keep it open-ended.
We keep it on the.
There's no why close the loop when it can stay open.
Thank you for sharing the time.
We'll shake on this.
We sure will. All of you, I want to thank you for watching this podcast. Remember, it's all unknown. Keep reaching for the stars, and you are too blessed to be stressed.